Hi guys. So I thought I was live. I wasn't. So hello. So welcome, ladies. I am so excited to have you back here for another showcase interview with the amazing Tamara Smith. You know who I am. I'm your resident self care coach. I am on a mission to help busy female entrepreneurs, coaches, and course creators prioritize their self care to support them in life and business so that they wake up with more energy, focus, and intention to not only tackle their daily activities, but also serve their clients with confidence. And as I said, I have the privilege of speaking with Tamara Smith, owner and creative director of Chanson Creative, a remote boutique branding agency for professional women and people of color. With over 25 years of combined agency and corporate experience, Tamara has helped Fortune 500 companies build and launch their brands with stunning visuals across print, digital, and interactive media. As a creative entrepreneur and branding expert, she has honed her skills in creating brand solutions that capture the essence of her clients' businesses so they can show up as themselves and attract who they're meant to serve. Tamara's passion is helping women owned businesses and professional women of color break free from the corporate grind and get back to being experts in their industries. Through her collaborative approach, she works with her clients to build a meaningful brand identity using strategy led design to her strict signature process. The end result? Clients show up confidently to form deeper connections, stand out in their industry, and become more profitable. So today we're going to be chatting about her life's journey, what she's doing now, and any events or launches that she might have coming up, where she sees her business growing and the possibilities for 2023 and beyond, and also what it means to be a leader in her industry. I'm really excited for you to meet this incredible powerhouse entrepreneur. So with that being said, let me bring her to the live. Hi, Tamara. How are you?
Hello, Leslie. How are you?
I'm good now that I realized that I had to actually be on screen to be actually going live, but that's okay.
Don't you just love
But
tech?
yes, well, it's just one of those days. Sometimes, although I don't mind Mondays, I used to not like Mondays. I don't mind Mondays, but it's just
Mhm.
sometimes I forget. And this has just been one of those moments. So I'm
No
really happy
worries.
that you're here.
So am I. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. So, before I get started, I'd like to start off with just a few rapid fire questions,
Okay.
just getting to know you, just to break the ice. So, if
Okay.
you okay, okay, good. All right. So, first question: describe yourself using three words.
Describe myself using three words. Oh boy. Funny, um, funny, humorous, bubbly, and creative.
Yes. Okay, great. Love those words. As you look back over the past year, what's something that's happened that's cause for celebration?
Ooh, there's been a lot of challenges, but what I love to celebrate is the self-discovery journey that I've been on lately. There's nothing like being an entrepreneur to really understand and discover things about yourself that may not have really come out when you're in corporate. In corporate,
Hmm.
you're just, doing your job, you're on the grind. And it's not until you're in business for yourself that you really find how important it is to really dig deep and get that grit and this in the essence of who you are so that you can show up for yourself and for your business. So I would say that I am celebrating that part of my journey in discovery and also even in my personal life, whether it's, I know for myself, I found strength or considered one of my strengths to be putting myself before others. And I found that actually I'm learning to have that balance of self care and putting myself first so that I can show up for others. I just had to tweak it just a little bit, give
Yeah,
myself
yeah,
some
and
grace.
yeah, of course. And you know what? It's like there's no one size fits all model of self care that for everyone. You don't have to follow a specific formula. It's what works within your lifestyle because we all have individually unique lives, and that's a great thing. We all do different things, and that's wonderful. I think it's just being able to figure out how to like like as you were saying, balance it. And I do believe there's like a work life balance. I truly do. I know that a lot of people don't like that saying, but
Right.
to me, it's being able to actually show up fully in each part of your life, so that you feel like you're getting everything that you need out of that part of your life, putting all your all into like your personal life, and then putting all when you need to into your professional, and neither one of them suffers. And so there's that
Right.
balance, and that's how I look at work life balance.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing that really helps too is creating the boundaries. Um, First, knowing what your boundaries are for your business, what your non negotiables are, and then also in your personal life, because sometimes whether it's family, loved ones may not quite understand the entrepreneur life, and you have to create boundaries for that as well. But at first, they need to be identified for ourselves, right? As you said, there's no one size fits all, and then be able to project that so that there's that we lovingly share those boundaries and what our non-negotiables are so that we can create that balance. So it's balance, but I would say boundaries too. Well, at
Yeah.
least for me, that's something that I've learned in the past few months.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you there.
Hmm.
So now, I know that you said you've been really on this self development journey, and I think that's great to celebrate that because you're celebrating and honoring yourself.
Yes.
What would you say has been your greatest accomplishment in your life so far?
So far in my life, ooh, that's like these questions. I love it. The greatest accomplishment in my life. Wow, greatest accomplishment. I would say just staying sane. Like we live in a really jacked up world, and just trying to avoid as many pitfalls as possible. Things that the things that can't be controlled, that's different. But the things that I can control, whether it's the decisions that I make, um, or the path that I try to lead and follow and lead others in, I would say has been one of the greatest accomplishments because when I look back, I can truly say that when it comes to my life, I've been happy with the decisions that I've made and want to continue in making decisions that are good for me, what feels good for me and for my life and how I want to live my life.
Yeah, no, that's great. No, I love that. So, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I hope that these are not too hard for you because
No,
I think
no,
I just love getting to know someone a little bit more,
no,
even
I
on a
love it.
personal level.
No
Okay,
worries.
great.
No, no,
Okay,
that's great.
great.
Um,
Okay, so the next question, I just have two more.
okay.
What would you say has been your greatest lesson learned?
Ooh, greatest lesson. The importance of having, no, we have it. The importance of using common sense. We're created with it, and at times it gets overlooked. Um, so I would say that's one of the biggest lessons, and also to do the work before serving others. Do the inner work before putting yourself out there and serving others, whether it's in business or um, also just in general in life. Especially sometimes as being as being a service provider, we want to give our all, but we have to make sure that we're filling our cup first, so that we have something to share, we have something to give, and it's of quality. But if we don't know where we're going, if we don't know our purpose, if we don't know what our goals are, um, then you're just going around in circles or just doing a crash and burn. That's not going to work either. It's not productive. I would say the biggest piece of advice that I've gotten is is to have we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. For me, that means to listen twice as much as I speak. And you tend to learn a lot from just listening, whether it's holding space for others in support and also in observing, because it's harder to really gauge things in life if we're always talking. And that's just me. I tend to, as extroverted as I feel at times. I'm a bit introverted too, but it helps me to be more of a observer so that I can either make better decisions, um, uh, um, make decisions that are best for my goals, and then to be able to lead without just leading with a head or a heart. It's a combination of common sense and also leading with my emotions as well.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you kind of answered my last question because it
Oh,
was really around advice. So I really love that. So thank you so
okay,
much for, no, really. So thank you so much for being gracious and answering these questions.
sure.
As I said, I like to start off this way just to kind of, get into the flow
Yeah,
of talking just by being just relaxed and just talking about life. So
I love it.
a couple of things I'd like to touch on with you are, of course, like getting to know you, your story a little bit more, what you're doing today, and how you serve your clients, and
Mhm.
also through I talk about our connection through We Team, that the networking community, and
Yes,
and how like a little bit of how we met, I guess, is like through this community, and how it how it has actually supported you. So, with that
absolutely.
being said, let's begin. Tell us who you are, how you grew up, what led you to do what you are doing now with your gifts and your talents.
Ooh, so how did I grow up? I grew up in a pretty, I would say, if you want to call normal two-parent household, what is normal anymore, right? Loving parents, one sibling, and pretty much had a decent childhood, loving family, and that has helped me to um, actually helps me with my why with my business because I am so family oriented that I've set it up in a way that I can be there for them. Many ladies probably in the audience, maybe the same age as myself or slightly younger or older, but dealing with the same circumstances where you're kind of in the middle, right? You have, um, parents that are getting older where you become a caregiver and or having children or loved ones that are younger that are also looking up to you. So you kind of feel like you're the hub. And that's how I kind of feel now. So being able to be location independent with my business has been helpful with that. But besides the point, that's a little later in the story. But um, so went through high school, started um, my journey in corporate, right like last year, high school, where you have the where you work, go to school for half a day, and then go to a job office for the second half of the day. And did that for right out of high school, 5 years, same place. And one thing that I found in being not just a young woman, but a young Black woman in a very pretty corporate um, background was the assumptions that were made. Um, you know, they couldn't believe that I didn't have kids, or that I actually like was interested in my education, that I spoke well, that I had a professional, um, uh, that I just tried to use what I learned, and it I think was a surprise to a lot of people that just did not look like me, but persevered and ended up going back to school for graphic design and marketing. Did that, got out of school, and then right back into corporate, working for an IT and web development company. During that time, I needed a change, and I said, I also need to use this degree. I'm paid for it, I need to go ahead and use it, and found a job with a medical education company that was just starting out, had only been around for 5 months, basically stayed with them for about 16 years. Reason being that they gave me the opportunity to really spread my wings and um, really also cut my teeth on design, um, helping basically Fortune 500 companies to launch their brands. And I was designing training manuals, program identity, um, uh, all type of seminar materials, training materials, signage, trade expo graphics for the likes of Bristol Myers Squibb, Pfizer, AstraZeneca. And I really loved it. I love what I did, but the environment wasn't the greatest. um, as a startup, there were a lot of things, a lot of confusion, a lot of things that just weren't conducive to a good mental state. I tried to stay under the radar as much as I could, and I think that's how I lasted as long as I did. But I saw a lot of things that just weren't right, and it affected me emotionally to the point where when I did leave corporate, I had to detox. I had to take some time away, and I ran right to the opposite of corporate and started designing wedding invitations and stationery for couples, um, which was great because I was able to design and share their love stories through visual communication, through basically branding their wedding. And then that actually brought me from about 2018 till 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. And weddings just went to a halt. And I said, oh no, what do I do now? So I had to go back, basically go back to pivot back to my original love, which was branding. And I said, well, if I did this for Fortune 500 companies, I could do this for small businesses as well, especially for women. My passion is helping women that have left corporate just like I have, and our expertise at um, they're experts in their field. It's just that they've wanted to spread their wings now and start their own business, but there's a lot of things that in starting a business we just don't know. We think if we set up our business, we set up our logo, we set up our website, check, 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 and we're good to go. But then there's also things that we may not have considered that's really going to help us to attract the clients that we want to serve. So that's where I come in. That's something I'm passionate about as well, in helping ladies to really understand their purpose in starting their business. What is their why? What is their mission, their vision? And then bringing that all together in a cohesive way that will connect with their audience. But all of that needs to be grounded first. So that's basically my journey. But now that I'm doing what I love, I'm doing it with fabulous ladies such as yourself, Leslie. We worked together before, and I really love seeing women's businesses flourish because they finally got the clarity that they needed in order to move forward in serving others.
Yeah, and I love all of that. I love your story because you're right. We come from different backgrounds. We might even just like be thinking, and when I say different backgrounds, I mean like our journey to get to wherever we are today and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So you started out in one place and found that corporate America is completely, it's almost like they have a narrative already set of what how someone fits into the model.
Absolutely.
And it when someone who doesn't necessarily look the way they expect them to do, and that's not necessarily coming from a negative place, but it's
No.
just me it all the time. I mean, it could at sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
there could be that just that misunderstanding, or just they don't really recognize that you know people do actually in this industry from different backgrounds actually love to do these types of things.
Right.
And even like I'll even say for myself, when I being in the field of law for so many years, and when I started seeing males come into like the legal assistant and then the paralegal roles, I was kind of shocked at first because I thought, well, these are not traditionally types of jobs that I thought men would be interested in doing.
True.
So again, there's that judging the book by its cover before really giving someone a chance. So I think I love your story about how you went from one one place and you stayed there for a long time and you created this strategy, I guess, and processes that you have now is like a wealth of information. And then
Absolutely.
you took it to the opposite spectrum. I mean, obviously something happened and you saw some things that you weren't happy about, but then you took it to the opposite and you started talking about love story and love and bringing, something really special for people who are, you know, probably the most important one of the most important days of their lives. So you're helping them create that. So it's like a branding, because a lot of people do.
Right.
I know a lot of people, I see it and I think that's just incredible what they've done. But I love where you're at today and how you help. Now you've decided, I can help the bigger companies, but there's that small business who's, you know, maybe they're only wanting to serve a certain level. They're not wanting to get to like the multi, you know, eight eight figures, but they
Right.
want to be able to serve. And you can come in and say, well, I've helped these people in these levels, and now but I have the knowledge to help you where you're at today. So I like that a lot.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
So your what you do specifically, can we talk a little bit about that? How, because I know now you've gone from like, you're now in this role where you help small businesses and branding. What does that look like?
Ooh. So what happens is, like I had mentioned before, many times with businesses, we know we're just getting started and we're basically, just setting everything up, right? We're hitting the check marks. And uh, I think it was one of the movies that says, if we build it, they will come. And we have it set up and no one's coming. Either no one's coming or it's not the right people. And it just shows that there's something missing um, with your business. And a lot of times it's because your brand may be missing. We all have a brand. We all are a brand. Brand is just a reputation. It's how a person or a group of people perceive us. We want to be able to influence how people perceive our business. And that's what connects us to our audience, who we want to work with. And if that hasn't been established, then we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall, basically. So what I do, I come in and we identify what those gaps are. We go through the whole process of, it's not just a logo, it's not just colors, it's not just, typography or fonts. We actually dig deeper into finding out what really your goal is for your business, whether it's in alignment with what you are offering, with how you are speaking, what your messaging is. And by doing that, we find the gaps, we fill them in so that you can build that foundation. Then we visually communicate it with your logo, with your other assets that really just bring that whole experience. It's what huge brands are doing today, but a lot of times we don't think about it because we're feeling the experience. And we can also do the same thing, even though we may not be aspiring to eight figures. Um, uh, we may just want to have that freedom to, be there for our children, or have the freedom to travel, or whatever your ultimate goal is. But by going through the proper steps to make that connection, it just makes it a whole lot easier when it comes to your marketing, and also just building a sustainable business.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's good to know, like, for especially because you can work with a business wherever they're at, whatever stage they're at. And I think it's really important. Like, even some companies, larger corporations, are rebranding themselves.
Yes.
It's getting with the times. It's seeing what people are looking for, what they want. What the mass audience is actually. You know, what really motivates them to actually take a closer look. So I love that.
The
Um,
fundamentals are the same. The principles are the
yeah,
same, whether it's a huge business or a smaller business.
yeah. And I think too, one of the things that I learned as well about branding is not just about the logo and the colors. It really is about your mission, like who you are, who you serve, like what
Mhm.
your why, your big why for doing it. What's your purpose? And that really like lends to really figuring out what your branding is going to look like, because that then can help you figure out what your logo is going to look like, what your website's going to look like, what kind of things you're going to offer. So I
Right.
really love that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Even
So yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, even the how we make them feel, how we want to make our audience feel, having that emotional connection. Because I found that when people buy, they don't buy from a business; they buy from another person. So they need to get to know you as a business owner. They want to know what your why is also, and what is it that makes you tick? Why are you even wanting to serve them? That fuels their passion as well. And then they're more attracted to actually work with you, to listen to what you have to say as you're building your credibility. It's like a whole it's just like a whole experience, which is
Yeah.
so exciting to
Yeah.
help businesses to build.
Yeah, and I love that we were able to go through that with myself. Like I've even evolved beyond that since we
Mm-hmm.
had our call, but I
I
really
see
truly
you.
believe. But what I love is that you really took the time, and it was just an incredible experience. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
thank you for that.
Yeah, it's my
And
pleasure.
that brings me to how we got connected, because we are connected through the We Team networking community, the Women's Referral and Barter Network Facebook
Yes.
group, and then they have the We Team membership, as well as the We Meet Wednesdays networking community, where there's 500 plus women who meet every Wednesday to network with each other, to learn from each other. There's workshops, uh, there's fast network. Sorry, what do they call that? Speed
Speed
networking.
networking. Mm-hmm.
There's also a co-working space. It's just a lovely place to actually go and show up and put yourself out there and get, even
Yes.
just to say you're like my I help statement over and over again till you feel confident to
Mm-hmm.
start, putting out your offers. Even have that round table where you give your best tip. And I think it's just a way to build really a unique community of women coming together to support each other.
Absolutely.
So with that, one of the things I wanted to ask you is, like, you have this your introduction. I know I talked about the We Team, but I want to really focus on you.
Okay.
So part of your introduction speaks to you helping women-owned businesses and professional women of color break free from the corporate grind and get back to being experts in their industries. So in this endeavor, it speaks to me. It speaks to you being a leader. So I would like to
Mm.
ask you, what does being a leader mean to you?
Oh, great question. Great question. It has changed as I've stepped into a leadership role. I used to think that being a leader was, actually being way ahead of someone or a group of people and saying, come on, let's go, um, and just bringing them on a path. But what has become most comfortable for me and what I found to be most effective in the way that I roll, right? Is to be more in the background, as in behind, supporting and pushing, being that support in moving folks along or ladies along. Uh, what is it? One of my colleagues that has a movement called quiet leadership, and being leading quietly. And I love that because, there's so much noise. There's a sea of noise that's going on where everyone has either their own, community, their own group, their own whatever. And there's just a lot that's being put out. There's a lot of output. And sometimes, especially with new business owners and just business owners in general, whether it's social media and different marketing campaigns, things of that sort, we get inundated with a lot of messages. And I feel like a true leader is one who won't just always sit or stand on a soapbox and preach. They're also down in the trenches with their people and helping them along, giving them the resources, listening to them, understanding what their challenges are. So if visually, instead of it being a leader is over, I look at it as a leader is with. So that's what I strive to do.
Oh, I love that. Great answer. That is phenomenal. So before we end, I just want to ask you a question, because I know this probably could help a lot of people who might be thinking about, okay, what does my branding look like? what does that even mean for me? So what advice could you give for women in this community who are building businesses and have the busy lifestyles, like the mom, the grandmom, the CEO, and all of
Mhm.
that? If they're looking at their branding and trying to say, okay, how can I actually stand out with my branding, and what would be the first place that I would start?
Oh, I think the first thing to start with is not your colors. It's not your logo. That's going to come. I would say find out your why first. Like really get rooted in your why and your purpose. If of course we are in business to support ourselves, to support our families, to financially do so. You may have a cause that you are um, doing, but I would really get centered in your why because that is what's going to keep you going. It's that fuel that's going to keep you going. Also, that's for yourself, right? And for your business and what your business stands for. And then also identify who you are talking to. Who are you really trying to talk to? Who is your ideal client? Because first you find out who you are and why you're doing what you do, and then identify who is on the other end of your business, and then everything else can be plotted in between, and so identifying your ideal client and also how you want to make them feel. What is that transformation that you're giving? And in that way, all the other things like the visuals and the messaging and the content, that'll all fall into place. But it's because you've already set up that foundation. That way, it can be you're connecting, and then you're also doing it everything cohesive to uh, finally get your business to where you want it, so that you can serve who you're meant to serve.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and I love how you said it because again, it does come down to knowing that you're part of your branding. It's not your logos don't represent you. You represent what your brand is. And so
Yeah,
having that clarity around all of those pieces first and then choosing everything how it can represent you virtually is really important. So I love that. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on today. It's been
my
such a
pleasure.
pleasure talking with you and sharing who you are with the community and what you do. I'll make sure that I get all of your stuff. I'll make sure I take from what you've given me and I'll put that in with the show notes so that if
Awesome.
anyone wants to reach out to you, they can actually reach out to you either through the community because of course you're a member of this community, but also if there's anything else that they want to like reach out to you and say, hey, I'm looking at branding, where can we set up a call to actually talk about it? Because I think it's really important, especially today, because there's so many people online. And so if you want to actually stand out in a way that's unique to you, but it's true to who you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it, I think that's going to make all the difference in the world
Absolutely.
and your branding part. Your strategy and all. So, thanks so much. Don't go anywhere,
Okay.
ladies. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I love Tamara. She's just such an amazing person. And when we met through the community of Women's Referral and Barter Network, Facebook community, and then in We Team, the We Team group and the We Meet Wednesdays networking community. It's just been such a pleasure just watching your growth and also getting to know you more. So thank you so much for coming, ladies. I
Thank
hope
you.
you enjoyed it, and I'll make sure, as I said, to put everything in with the video so that if you want to reach out to her, you can do so. So I hope you
Thank
have
you.
a great rest of your day, and I'll
Thank
see you
you.
guys all again next time.
Bye, ladies. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks for having me.